WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on the air Tuesday, each and every Tuesday at 2:30. We bring you a new show, information, education-based. It airs on Channel 16, Star Communications. Also, you can pick us up on WCLN Radio, same day, same time, each and every week, summation of the Sampson Weekly newspaper. We welcome you to send any comments. Please continue to do that at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And thank you for your comments from our last week's show. And we look forward to maybe researching and bringing some of those things out that you'd like us to do so you can hear more about. Today we're excited, very excited to have I guess a possibility with us of something that's going to happen a year from now. We have the band director up at Hobbton, Geoffrey Tart, and the drum major, Nina Odom, with us today. Guys, this is great news. It hit the paper a couple of weeks ago, talking about an event, a Memorial Day event, an annual event in Washington, D.C., and Hobbton High School Band is the band, and let me make sure I'm making this clear, is the band that will represent North Carolina in the National Memorial Day Parade.
This is correct. I got a phone call probably about a month ago wanting to know if I was interested in putting our name in the pot, so to speak, for a nomination. And I said, well, sure, why not? And about 2 weeks after that phone call, I got a phone call from the Tom Tillis's office from D.C. saying that we were chosen for this opportunity. And to be honest with you, I had to sit there and think, someone's playing a trick on me. But it's just a testament to the hard work that the students have put in. And not only are we recognized now statewide, but now national. And that's a big accomplishment for such a small area and small school with less, what folks would consider would be a less opportunity area. Mm-hmm. And I always say that it doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you're going.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And for Hobbton, Nina, I think as the band, I guess you would say, drum major, you're the person that's out front, you're the person that the band is focused on during these kinds of events and marches. What does that say to you? Did it give you a sense, is this really happening? Am I really going to be on the national stage in front of all of these throughout the world? This thing will be seen throughout the world. How does it make you feel?
I think I'm very excited because you never get this opportunity in life. Well, we're in Newton Grove, and not a lot of things like this happen. So I think us students and band is very excited for this to happen.
What have you heard from people since this is starting to get out and folks are starting to realize this is not just a state event? You're not going with other bands from North Carolina. You will be North Carolina marching down that street. Are people grasping the dynamic of that?
I don't think so. They don't really think it's actually going to happen, but I keep telling them that it's definitely going to happen because he got that call and me and him were so excited to get that call. So
yeah, May 24, 2020. You know, that's about as clear as you can say it. If you're in the eye business or whatever, 2020, you got to be able to see this coming.
A year away.
So when we look at this, Geoffrey, you had to be given a little bit of pause too with what you had to accomplish between now, well actually way before next May. There's a lot of stuff you've got to accomplish. Let's talk about some of those things because you got a budget to work with, and from what I can understand, band budgets in public schools are not just running over.
Yeah, this is correct. We do get some money from the county, but they only can give us what the state sends us. So that little bit of money that we do get goes towards instrument upkeep, purchases and whatnot. So this trip and this opportunity is basically going to have to, the money's got to be raised. So we're looking at around $60,000. It has to be raised between now and when we leave. And we've got a new initiative that we are going to start pushing, and some letters are going to start going out to businesses and throughout the state, not just our area, but throughout the state. The Wildcat 600. It is approximately 300 miles from our school to DC, and then 300 miles from DC back to Newton Grove.
Round trip.
So NG to DC, Newton Grove to District of Columbia. We're asking folks if they could sponsor $100 per mile. That would pretty much fund a good majority of this trip. So over 600 letters have been sent out, and if we can get across the state $100 a mile, these students will be able to take part in this opportunity.
When you say across the state, how do you come up with the list of where to mail these letters to? Do you have a list of folks that you know have been donors in the past, or how does that work?
We've already compiled a list of just the local and surrounding county companies. The companies that we are going to start sending letters to outside of our area will be major businesses: Red Hat, SAS Institute, Duke Progress, folks that are based in North Carolina that we feel that would help us out, because this is a big chunk of money. You know, I don't know of any band program that is
prepared for that.
Exactly, that is our size. We're looking at carrying about 60 students.
Now, something you mentioned and earlier that I picked up on and I thought was just so great that you said this, is that it's kind of like the military thing. We're talking about memorial here, and basically you said we're going to leave no band member behind. Everybody's going. So if somebody says, well, look, I just can't afford it, these funds that you're raising is going to ensure that person's going to DC.
That's correct. I believe every student, every band member is important. They have a place. So if the need is there, I'm hoping that this fundraiser will kick in. We're really trying to get the out-of-pocket expense to $100 to $200 out of pocket. And even some of my parents said, well, why not let's go and shoot for all of it.
Yeah.
I said, well, why not? If the students are going to put in the work and put in the extra time, then why not? Why not shoot for that goal? So right now, we are shooting for $60,000. And the out-of-pocket expense at that point will be very minimum. So, and we come from an area where students, the parents don't have the ways and means like some people do in the other areas in our state and country. So that's where we feel like we need to give the opportunity to those students that may not be able to have that financial support.
Do you see this as also a good part of this effort to have you guys not only there, but to be seen on the national stage? Also bodes well for everything from economic development to new business in the area. It literally shines the light on Sampson County and this area of the state and says what you've referred to many times: look what we can do here, look what we grow here. You know, look at the talent, look at the skill set, look at the drive, look at the determination that came from this area of the country, particularly this area of North Carolina. You know, if I were an industry leader and I was scanning and I'd see that, I'd think, there's some pretty determined people to be able to make the national stage.
Yeah, I agree. Our students work very hard. A lot of our students are involved not only in just the band program. Students work. They're involved in other sports and other activities that are on campus. So I just feel like, yes, it is a great boost for our students that work extremely hard, not just in band, but in all other areas of their life.
So Nina, when you think about it, what from the perspective of the student and from the perspective of the person going to be kind of up in front of that band as the leader, so to speak, what has the band done for you in moving your life forward to maybe even a greater pinnacle?
All the students have really supported me through my journey to be a drum major, and I really think that, like I said, this opportunity, it's really big for us students, because in music and arts, we don't get that much money, and if we become bigger, the music and arts programs will be like a bigger like program for us in the North Carolina. So.
When you're talking to some of the other band members, and maybe there's things that they might not share with Geoffrey that they would share with you, I know kind of how this rolls. Is there things that, is there any sense of not only excitement, but any sense of apprehension at all?
Sometimes, yes. Like, students, they would be asking me, like, for, like, certain leaderships, you know, and they'll ask me how I feel about the drum major position, and they'll ask me how I did it and how confident I am for doing it, and so, yeah.
Do you find yourself in a role that now you are a kind of a mentor, in the sense of saying, look, it's okay, we can go to D.C. and we can come back and everything's going to be fine? One of the things I look at, particularly in some rural areas, folks seem to have some sense of trepidation about going to another state, or even maybe going to another country, or even being, you know, we have people that go, look, I just don't feel comfortable going. I saw so-and-so happened on TV. And all these things starts going through kids' minds, and it goes through adults' minds as well. So sometimes they pull back when if they would release and let go, they could do such great things in the world.
And that's when you grow the most as a human being.
Absolutely.
When you grow, when you let go of that fear and put yourself out there, you know, we're not going to grow unless we learn.
Yeah. And it expresses not only the capability of yourself, but for all those folks around you. So when we come back from this break, I want to kind of get into some of the specifics. You just mentioned mailing out a letter and those kinds of things. I want to kind of jar the box a little bit, see kind of what falls out the side, and discuss other things that may or may not be possible to do. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, call a friend. We're talking about the Hobbton High School Band. We're talking May 2020. We're talking a national stage event, the Memorial Day Parade that'll be seen all over the world. They're going, representing you. We'll be back.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Exciting day today. We're talking with the Hobbton High School Band, the director, Geoffrey Tart. We're talking with the person that's, I keep saying, Nina Odom, that you're the person that's going to be out front and everybody's eyes is going to be focused on. Is that a true statement?
Yes, it
You're
is.
the drum major.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so that's the kind of person that when I'm looking at a parade and I'm seeing the band going by, that person is up front, most of the time walking backwards and with things going on and so forth. This parade's not a shorty parade. This is a longy parade.
Yeah,
you know, we're talking 50 different bands representing 50 different states. And I think even some of those states, from what I've read, there may be some military bands involved in that as well. Are you up for this?
For sure I am.
So you're, as those saying goes, psyched and motivated.
Yes, I am very.
Jeffrey, what do you think? When you look at the band, how many people are we talking about?
About 60 students.
60 students. Now, when we talk about going that 300 miles there, 300 miles back, first thing is to get them there. I'm pretty sure they're going to come back. We get them there. Can the parents go, or will the band be housed in separate quarters? Let's get down to some of the details. Who monitors what? How many monitors will you need? How many parents or other folks will you need to go with you?
Anyone can attend because it's, you know, a parade.
Sure.
But so far as moving the students and moving as a group,
Yeah.
We will be housed in a hotel. We will have our own tour person with us, so it helps alleviate some of the process off of me of getting people where we need to be. All that's done with them. So it will be housed in they've got certain specifications for our hotels where we stay for safety-wise, safety issues. And then also the tour bus, we're looking at taking 2. So it's going to probably fill up one bus with just the band and a little bit of overflow. And I really think once our band parents and some community members hop on that bus with us, we'll be taking 2 full buses. And if we need to, and if we have the ways and means, if we feel like we've got some community members that want to go and we have enough, we may end up getting a 3rd bus. Who knows? So
yeah, would that would be a good thing.
That
right?
would be awesome. But of course, when it comes down to, we're going to be getting some grants and some other financial opportunities, and that will go directly towards the students. So we're looking at, you know, as we say, students first. And then when it comes down to community members, the exact cost, we do not know exactly yet what it will be, but it will be around between $600 and $650 for a 4-day trip, with everything included except for your lunches. All the other meals and evening meals will be covered. So that's kind of a cheap trip.
It is. It really is if you think about it.
So that's where we're looking, and raising the money with Wildcat 600. You know, there's no telling what will happen. I don't know what the response will be from not just, again, I say our area, but the state, because this is a state opportunity to represent at a national event. So the letters are going out this weekend, and the word is getting out. I've already had some folks saying they would want to pledge, and they're fighting over who's going to be the first mile to sponsor.
That's great.
So it's just, like I said, once it gets in, I don't know exactly what the cost will be for a non-student, non-parent at this point. But we welcome anyone to go.
Should we be reaching out now to Mark Johnson, our state superintendent, and saying, hey, you know, where do you want to roll with this thing? What can you do?
Not just him, but all our representatives. Remember, this is state.
All together.
Yes, sir.
So we can look at our local representatives here.
Yes, sir.
We can look at clubs, organizations, civic organizations. You've already presented to the Rotary Club, Luncheon Rotary Club.
Yes, sir.
And you've made this step, I think, kind of gently up front. Now what I think I'm hearing both of you say, the door is open, we're committed, this is happening.
Sir.
There's no sense of hesitation, this is happening. And do you hope, is there a certain milestone you want to be, say, in 2 months, 3 months?
Well, you know, end of school is here.
Right.
We have camp, and then after camp, we're done for the summer. So when we come back from the summer, I would love to have a lot of checks in my mailbox. Once this letter goes out, I'm hoping in 2 months we'll have a good base to start our efforts with of finishing out the fundraising. Now, mind you, not only have we got to raise money for this trip, we've got a competitive season coming around also. So far as our marching show, our competitive show, money's got to go towards that, and then we've got this trip that we've got to fund. So you're looking at a base of $20,000 to $30,000 just in our general budget we have to raise every year for our booster organization. Then on top of that, $60,000. So that's a lot of money.
So in essence, if you put it all together, we're looking at a pot of about $90,000.
Yes, sir.
Well, which again, you know, folks will look at it and go, oh, well, that's a lot of, but compared to what the results is and what the impact is. Talk to us about something that you mentioned early on that struck me as important, and I mentioned it to Nina a while ago, is that when these folks go up there and they step out, and they are going to need certain kinds of uniforms to wear. I mean, we're not going to send them up there in T-shirts and straw hats, right?
No, oh, most definitely not. And actually, I don't really think we have, I really believe we're not going to have enough uniforms. So I've got to become
focused on that piece.
Yeah, we've got to figure out what I'm going to do so far as uniforms, because not only are the band members this upcoming year going, I've invited the members that were graduating this year. They're part of the reason why this band is going. So not only are we looking at just the current members, but the members that are graduating, I've opened that door and I have told them they're more than welcome to join us.
Is that an additional, what, 20, 30? Or
17 students.
Okay, that's
so,
great. That's great.
As long as they do what's needed as far as rehearsal, come and rehearse with us, that door is open. And they're part of the reason why this has happened, and I feel that they need that opportunity to take part in this.
Nina, have you given some thought as to what you might? I know you've thought about what you're going to wear, what the uniforms may or may not be. You and Geoffrey probably talked about this a bit. Do you have some kind of picture in your mind what that might look like?
I definitely want to wear something about the American flag. I feel like that would definitely represent our veterans, and I feel like we should have our white hats that we have, and with the white plume. So red, white, and blue for sure.
Geoffrey, how do you represent North Carolina with that uniform as well?
Well, the way we can do uniforms nowadays is totally different from what you see. This uniform is a staple. This is when you see this uniform. This is the uniform that it identifies our school. Now they're getting away from that, and instead of not only identifying the school, identifying what you're doing. And that's even in marching shows that we're doing now. So we're looking at maybe having a print out of North Carolina or a print out of what is representing North Carolina. And in this case, with it being a memorial parade dealing with the veterans and dealing with our military, I really would love to represent our main bases, our bases that are in North Carolina. Because if it wasn't for our bases, we wouldn't have veterans. And when you talk about Fort Bragg, when you talk about Goldsboro, when you talk about all these special places that our military is based, people know that across not only the nation, but worldwide.
Yeah, because people's been in and out of those.
This is correct.
Those particular locations. That might have been where they went to boot camp or specialized training, or you know, the Marine Corps over at Jacksonville. A huge number of people in and out of there. Is that not only a source of pride, but also a resource as well?
Yes. Matter of fact, I have the opportunity this summer to spend a week with the Marines and be with the President's own Marine Band. That's another kickback of the band being seen nationally, I think. So to answer your question, yes, because not only are they just our military, they also go into the schools, they perform for students, they give free concerts. So I think it's only fair for us to represent North Carolina. We have to represent those that are fighting for us and have fought for us.
And that piece of it is almost kind of the drama playing out, is that, you know, we're here to recognize those that have given their all. They
Yes, sir.
literally have given their life to ensure the sacred rights of this country is held forward. Nina, as a student leading that band, what does that say to you? Does that reach a moment that it's very heavy for you, or what?
I think so, yes, because I have a grandpa that's in the military, and he lost his hearing, and so I think that it's a big opportunity to be marching down there and marching for our veterans and giving respect to them.
One of the highlights that I think got us this opportunity, I have put out several of our past shows, marching competitive shows on YouTube, and many of them are patriotic or have a patriotic feel to them. And I feel that it's very important that students know where they live and their music and their heritage. So in the past, I have done several patriotic shows and several shows that are about soldiers and about one of the last ones we did was about the battleship here in North Carolina.
Right. USS North Carolina.
And I think that it's very important that students not only know book-wise about what they're learning, but also learning about the music and the era of that time period.
We're going to take another break, and we're going to come back. I want to get in a little detail, if you can believe it or not, a little more detail about what's going to go on, and so parents can understand what they can anticipate here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're talking about Hobbton. We're talking about a great event in Washington, D.C. 2020 coming up. It's right around the corner, and your child, somebody you know, will be on that stage.
You come out to replace a bad sensor, and that adds a 5-year commitment to my contract, and you don't tell me? Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. I kind of enjoy highlighting a piece of Sampson County, particularly in public schools. We've seen so many problematic issues and teachers and salaries and marches and so forth. We're talking about a march today that's going to occur in 2020 of May that's going to highlight the entire state of North Carolina. And if you've just tuned in, the folks that's going to be bringing that to you is coming from Hobbton High School, where Geoffrey Tart is the director of the band and Nina Odom is the drum major. And you guys are going to be bringing to the national stage North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
I just want to keep saying that over and over again. Folks need to sink that in, don't they, Geoffrey?
Yes, from representing everyone from our ocean to the mountains.
Yeah, so from Asheville to Nags Head.
The Manio, we're representing them all.
So this is the kind of thing when people are looking and listening to us today, they've got to start asking themselves the question, number one, how can I help? Number two, do I want to be involved? Number three, if I need more information after they quit watching, where do they call?
Okay, I spoke earlier about our Wildcat 600. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for people to sponsor a mile, or if they want to sponsor miles, that's greater than anything else. So they can look at our school webpage, mm-hmm. And my email was on there.
Okay.
I've got 2 emails that are out there. The first email is Geoffrey, Geoffrey at sampson.k12.nc.us. And another email that I use is Hobbton Bands, HOBBTONBANDS at hotmail.com. And those emails, I've had those for years, and they're through the school system, and they can get it with me that way, or they can call the school, 594-0242, and they feel free to connect that way. We have not set up a way yet online. Mm-hmm. We have looked into that. And also, I'll be rolling out a Donors Choose webpage here in a few days. And that is a webpage kind of like GoFundMe, but Donors Choose is based towards educational experiences. Okay. And once that page is done, I would also put that on our school webpage.
So if somebody wanted to do an event
mm-hmm.
For you, a fundraiser, at a church, at a civic organization, I don't know, yard sale, whatever it may be. I mean, I see all kinds of things. You have too. Can they do that? Can they just call you and say, look, we're going to do a fundraiser and the proceeds is going to be donated to the Hobbton Band for this trip?
Oh, most definitely. And if they want to be a part of the mile project that we're doing.
Now, let's talk about that again. Now, a mile, if I wanted to sponsor a mile, how much is a mile?
$100.
$100. So if you wanted to sponsor 10 miles, just do the math.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's simple enough. So when you're mailing these letters out, the folks that receive those businesses throughout North Carolina, they could sponsor 300 miles, 400 miles, every what they wanted to do.
Yes, sir.
Or they could just write you a check and say, look, we're just going to donate this to the 2020 National Memorial Day Parade.
If we do this, the Wildcat 600, I really think we will have a good base. And if there's students, if there are people that would like to donate anonymously for a student or to the process, that's fine too.
Okay.
But they just need to let us know. But once we receive a check or once we receive a donation, they're going to be put down for whatever mile is next.
Okay.
In line.
So you'll have somebody tracking those funds, somebody a line item budget kind of thing, writing everything down and documenting.
We actually have, I forgot to mention this earlier, we have a Facebook page, Hobbton Bands.
Okay.
Anyone can feel free to hop on that page, and we will also have 1 through 600 on there, and they will be able to see who is sponsoring a mile or miles.
And so that, I mean, in one way, a business that's listening today could say, well, look, I want to get out there up front and I want to sponsor 100 miles.
Yep.
Simply put, that's good marketing for them.
Yes, sir. Free. It's not free advertising, but it is advertising.
It's a good way of putting your money where you're getting double bang for your buck, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
So let's kind of segue back and forth here. I don't want to get caught up in one thing. Let's get back to this uniform thing that we talked about. The cost of the uniform will be consumed not only in the material itself, but the design that you finally end up choosing to be part of it?
Yes. Originally, the trip itself was going to be $40,000 that I spoke with last week. Then we sat down and we started looking. We may not have enough uniforms. As a matter of fact, I know we probably will not have enough uniforms. So far as having the music written, because all this stuff's got to be custom done, the uniform, the flags for color guard, all this visually stuff, I thought, well, and I did the math, and it was right at $15,000.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I've got to have more room, so that's where the extra $20,000 came from. So you're looking at anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 just for the band itself to be seen and heard. That doesn't include, the transportation is already all to the side. But so far as the production part of the band, having enough uniforms, equipment, music, guard, color guard, I'm looking at between $15,000 and $20,000 just for the production part.
Wow.
And a lot of bands and the directors are probably going to be would frown upon that because they're like, well, what's the point? Well, the point is we're representing our state. So once we go down that street, Constitution Avenue, I want them to know where we're from. And I've seen videos of students marching and they're in just a regular band uniform or short sleeves and a shirt, and I'm thinking, where's your pride? You're representing your state? So when we're marching down that street, and when it's over with, I want them to go, that band from North Carolina really showed out.
Absolutely.
And and I'm always a firm believer in if you do something well, something else is going to happen. So not only this is not just a beginning and ending opportunity, I'm looking at this being another bridge to something else later on down the road. Because I've always said it doesn't matter where you're from, it's where you're going.
Exactly. So Nina, when you think about that and you think about what's got to be done with uniforms and those kinds of things, do you have in mind something that, you've already mentioned the hat and you've mentioned those kinds of things, but we're talking a lot of room on a uniform that you can put stuff. Is there something that you particularly think would be good, especially with the flags and all that kind of stuff? You got a lot of room you can put things.
I think we should put, like he said, the North Carolina state, and I think we should put a wildcat for our school, so to represent our pride for our school and North Carolina.
So you got the mascot, you got to think about the military bases, particularly 4 I can think of right off the top of my head here. Different kinds of colors maybe might be involved. The figure and the amount of money, it keeps going bump up a little here and there. What are you hearing from your, I'll call it the food chain in Sampson County education? Has anybody called you yet and said, Geoffrey, you need to tone that down a little bit? We might not be able to go there.
No. I believe in going all the way.
And they know that.
Yeah, and not doing halfway. Because if you go halfway, you're not going. What's the point of even going? So if we're going to go strong, visually and being seen and being heard. I just think it's very important. And there's been bands in our areas to go to the parades. We've had several that go to Macy's parade, and when you see some of our bands from our area, they stick out, and people want to know why. It's because you take the time to fine tune. You do a little bit different things to try to put you over the norm. And this day and time, that's getting harder to do because everyone's trying to do that. So and that's in the competitive field also. And even in a parade, I don't know if you've noticed it in our local parades here. You know, the bands they're not competing, but they're trying to be seen. They're trying to let it be known. This is us. This is what we're about.
Yeah, it identifies themselves. I mean, like when the Christmas parade and those kinds of things. And we've seen the Hobbton band go through, the Dark Horses go through, all of these different bands go through. And you're exactly right. I mean, you got to bring attention somehow to not only what you're doing, but to North Carolina. So the picture's got to have a panoramic kind of view to it. And
it's my hope through this that North Carolina will increase some funding to our schools. It is sad that a principal is having to cut here and there and here and there, and sometimes it's cutting jobs, it's cutting a teacher because the allocation is not being sent to our schools from the state. And when you have that happening, it's putting more work on teachers and a lot more stress than what a teacher should have. So coming from a small school, not only the students, but the teachers, we're sometimes doing 2, 3, 4 jobs in that building. And I think it's important that, and using this opportunity, that we get the word out. Our schools need some funding also.
And I think that's kind of the magic piece of this whole thing, is that we're looking at something that if things were as maybe they should be, maybe that some of those funds should already be there.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, we're not in that cycle yet. So we want to try to make sure folks get that. We're going to take another break. Okay. We'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for being with us today. We're talking about education from another kind of aspect. Stay tuned. We'll be back and talk more about the Hobbton Band, their trip to Washington, D.C.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're coming on the last segment here. We're talking about the Hobbton High School Band. We're talking about Washington, D.C. in the year 2020, which, believe it or not, is just around the corner, basically a year from now. The band will be in D.C. marching in an international viewpoint of a stage in which folks will be honoring folks that have given their entire life to service of this country, our veterans. And that Memorial Day parade will be something that the Hobbton Band will represent North Carolina as a state in. Geoffrey Tart is well aware of the pressure of that as the band director. Nina Odom is polished in her skills and making sure she's got all the band techniques to be able to march down through D.C. with that. This is the first time this kind of thing has been available to us on the national stage since what, 1978?
1978 is what I understand.
So what is kind of, the thing in 78 was the Mardi Gras thing.
Yes, sir.
And that was, I mean, there's the ripple effects of that is still being felt.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, I spoke last week, and there was one person in that audience that I marched that. So there's no telling who is hearing this today. And those that are hearing that, we need your help.
Yeah.
1978, from what I understand, was the last time that they were in any a national spotlight, so to speak, and now in 2020, it's going to happen again.
Do the math. It's been a few decades.
And I've done a little bit. I may be wrong in what I'm about to say, and if I am, I want some people to correct me. But from what I understand, Hobbton is the oldest band program in our county.
It's certainly one of the oldest schools. Yes, I can go ahead and put that out there.
This is true. And it's saying a lot, not only to represent our state, but we're representing our little community here, being one of the oldest groups that started years ago, when the school, even before it even started, from what I understand, they were trying to get money to start a band program. So there's a lot of pride also in our community, sending these folks to march in the parade.
Absolutely. I can recall back during the days of a principal by the name of H.H. Simpson, back in the 60s. Nina, I'm not telling you I'm an old person, but I'm just saying. And there's a lot of folks just listening to me who are going, I hope he wouldn't talk about that too much. But the reality is that this stage has been waiting for some time.
Yes, sir.
And Geoffrey, I was just thinking about your history. And as I said, some previous superintendent made the statement to me that you used to go to the sports games to hear the band, not concerned about the sports games.
Yes, sir.
And so you've got a passion that's built up. Do you think this has just been waiting for this moment?
Yes, sir. I remember at the age of 2, ever since I was 2 years old, I knew what I was going to do. I would either run around the house with a toy trumpet or a toy drum, playing around, and I grew up listening to music, and watching and loving watch bands perform. And there were times when the ball game was on the radio, and I come to find out if I was listening to it, if my father was listening to it, I was like, why are we not at the ball game? And he would, sometimes it would maybe away, but if I started hearing the Clinton High School Marching Band play, I remember throwing a fit. Take me to the ball game.
Was Ed Taylor there somewhere?
Yes, sir. He was, and he was also my director.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor was. So I remember there were a couple of times my father would take me out, and since we weren't at the ball game, he would put me on his shoulders, look over the fence at the old Clinton High School Stadium that's beside what used to be Sampson Middle now.
Absolutely.
Sunset.
Yeah, Sunset.
So there's a lot of history looking back to this opportunity personally, and the training that I have received. It's an exciting opportunity.
Nina, this is what they call a teachable moment. He just explained what passion is. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about, is that you've got to have that kind of feeling. I mean, and I'm sure, Nina, you know this too. I mean, you've obviously got to have it to be doing what you're doing, to be involved with a band. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that you're going to get the kind of notoriety you are if you're a quarterback and you do 6 touchdowns in a game or something, but it's something that it really has got to be something that drives you as an individual.
I think it's inner love. If you don't love it, you're not going to go that extra mile. It's just like I've got students, or I've had students. I've got a current student that's almost got a full ride to college to major in music. I've had students to get scholarships to play in wherever they're going, their collegiate level, to play in their concert band, their pep band, or marching band. Those things are not publicized. A lot of art people and band directors and students, we just don't feel the need to announce it, but so far as publicize it and as a bragging standpoint. It's more of an inner self, confidence, and the reality of that it's not just me, I'm helping others. Because in a music setting or band setting, it's a we. It's not, I made that point. I made that, and I support sports 100%, but I believe in a band setting that if one person messes up, what's going to happen?
Everybody.
Especially if you're marching, if one person misses their spot, we're going to have havoc. So it's like a well-oiled machine, a band program is, and I think it's important that the public knows that it's not, that band is not something that's not important. It's very important. 95% of Americans believe that music is the key component in a child's well-rounded education. and a student that is involved in the arts or in music, they're using all 7 senses all at one time, and they're in, their brain power, the way to deal with a group of people working together. I learned a few years ago that your computer science, your computer industry, the folks that are they're looking for folks that know how to work together in a group, not just that have gone through college and learned how to work on a computer or how to take a computer apart or fix it, or the inner parts of working on a computer. When it comes down to a computer science person versus a person that was in music or arts or a field relating to that, they're going to hire the person that was in that field, because they can train that person to learn that technology or to know how to work for that specific company and work together as a group.
So the idea here is that the brain becomes more creative, adaptable.
Yes, and know how to work in a setting of people. And Nina will understands the point of when I say it's not about I, but it's about we. When you're on the field, they're not looking at that individual, they're looking at the whole entire group. And it's a family. I strongly believe, and they've said every year at our banquet, our band is a family, and I take pride in that. And like every family, they argue and have problems, but when it comes down to the end, it is a family, and being my 20th year of teaching, that means a lot.
Yeah,
because you don't see that a lot in today's society.
Now, Nina, are you a junior, senior?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior. So as a junior, do you feel a sense of weightiness stepping forward to do this? I mean, extra practices, more time on the field, more time. I mean, is that something that you've thought about and said, wow, it's going to take some time?
Yes, I have, because I'm in sports and I have to take time for each individual thing that I have. So it's probably going to take more time for drum major because it's something new to me. So I have to learn how to conduct and how to count properly for the cue the music and all that.
Do you feel you've got the support you need to go forward with this?
For sure. Mr. Tart loves me, my band does too. Like you said, we're a family and we have like a bond like no other.
Well, and I think it's an opportunity for you too, Geoffrey, is to take some of these things that you've experienced from young and now not only transplant it, but see it kind of unfold before your eyes on the national stage as well.
This is a band director's dream come true, to be honest with you. This is something that, they always shoot for Macy's, or anytime you get a national recognition, that's a band director's dream.
Yeah, and I mean, going forward, the dynamic will be continued for you, Nina, even in college. You'll probably have folks will say, oh, you were leading the band in the National Memorial Day Parade. I mean, no matter where you go in the country, as far as that goes, no matter where you go in the world, this will be a nationally televised event that will be encapsulated on numerous networks.
Before we have to go, I would also like to thank the office of Tom Tillis, and Tom Tillis, our senator. He is the one that actually nominated us. Okay. And I hope he can hear this. We appreciate it, and we're very thankful for the opportunity. And I'm hoping that our community and our state will back us up and help us financially and support us and get us to DC and back, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm very proud of our students. I've always said hard work and dedication goes a long way. Not only does it go a long way, it gets you places.
It does that. About 20 seconds for closing. Nina, any comments you want to make?
I just want to thank everybody in our community who's been supporting so far, and I want to thank my band and Mr. Geoffrey Tart for always supporting us and getting us there.
Well, I think we do, and I think you will, and I think it's going to happen. And at some point in time, folks will look back, maybe Nina in 20 or 30 years when she's the chief executive of General Motors or something, I don't know, and say that helped me get there.
Exactly.
So these are the kinds of things that as you and I have talked about, are mile markers in life. So thank you for being with us today, and going forward, maybe we'll come back and do a post interview.
Thank you for having us.
After all the dust settles, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us, and of course, we always look forward each and every week of having you. Hopefully, you will continue to send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And as always, as we close our show, we always say, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.